Hello, BookTube. We are continuing with my tour of the books in my little book room. That's a lot of books. I had to skip a couple of bookcases because I just couldn't figure out the ergonomics, but I am eventually going to film every book in this room. And it's a lot. There are a lot of books in this room. We have moved to the next bookcase. Unfortunately, this means I have to stand, which is just about as bad as sitting on the floor. I want to sit in a nice, comfy chair. But that's only a middle range of these shelves, so I will suffer on your behalf. So let's do the top shelf here. Okay, the first batch of books here is Auden. So this is prose by Auden, his Fores and Afterwards. This is the only volume of his traditionally that I ever really liked. This is all the deadline prose, the occasional prose that when you're a famous literary figure, people call upon you to do it sometimes. Auden, once you get people calling upon you to do this sort of thing, generally speaking, you don't ever say no. And Auden never said no, so there's a lot of this. It's brilliant, brilliant stuff. But for a long time, that was the only Auden that I read and liked, and I poo-pooed his poetry. And then a couple of years ago, I decided to revisit him. I did a systematic reread of everything that he wrote. I read every biography I could find. I read every study that I could find, even though I usually avoid those like the plague. And most especially, I lived with the poetry. I didn't pay much attention to the prose. I lived with the poetry. Tried to breathe it in, tried to soak it in, tried to see if any of the lines or phrases for the poems would crop up in my mind, prompted by real-world events, which is always a kind of a litmus test. Always a kind of a litmus test for me as to whether or not poetry is living. Some phrase or line from Shakespeare crops up in my mind every day. Same thing with Horace. But I wasn't sure about that with Auden, and it did turn out to be true. And it has latterly turned out to be true for Larkin as well. So I'm very grateful that I am not what so many of my Reddit critics think I am. I'm so grateful that I am not just a close-minded 200-year-old pedantosaurus. I'm very happy about that. So I have gained an author with Auden, and I am gaining an author with Larkin, and I think I know who's next after that. So there's a whole bunch of Auden here, like this volume. These are all in these Random House uniform editions. These are the collected poems of Auden, just a standard volume of the collected poems of Auden. This took a lot of punishment from me and held up well. These Random House volumes really hold up well. There's this thing called the English Auden, which is stuff that he wrote in England and about England, not just poetry. And then we have this smaller volume. Random House traumatized a certain type of personality forever with their collected Auden because it's not all the same size. This one is smaller. The collected longer poems is smaller. It's a shorter hardcover. So you put them all together and they don't look right. And there are others. There are a couple of other volumes that aren't the right size. So that's just a block of Auden that is up on the top shelf now here. But for a while there, it was on a chest level shelf in a different bookcase because I was going to it every day. I'm not going to Auden every day anymore. Okay, then we have The Flowering of New England, this lovely New England cover. This is a larger modern library. Yeah, a modern library giant. Van Wyck Brooks. This was he did a series of books, New England Indian Summer, he had a whole bunch of books profiling the growth of American literature. The Flowering of New England, I think, was probably the most popular one of them all. Certainly, I think it sold more than any of the others. And it's just about Steve's New England. It's about a huge chunk of it is about Steve's Boston. It's about the time when Boston was the literary center of the entire world. I would argue even more vital and even more dynamic and more important than the literary center in London at the time. But certainly like nothing that the American continent had ever seen. Brooks is a really good writer. He's really good at bringing it alive. I don't think he's in print at all anymore. I think he's completely gone. But that's a shame because all of his books are really good. Oh, all right. Okay. Well, this is not good. All right. We have a Can I actually do this without causing the destruction of the known world? This is the trade paperback of The Library of Fragile History, which we saw already. We saw the hardcover already. So, I mean, I like this book, but I didn't like it enough to have 2 copies of it. I wonder if I kept the trade paperback because there's a different art. There's a different art. These 2 authors did a history of the idea of a library. It's a really good book. One of the best books on the subject. Did I keep this? Am I blurbed on it? Is that why I kept it? No, I'm not blurbed on it. Maybe it's just the rarity. Basic Books almost never sends me the paperbacks of their art. They send me the e-galley. They send me the galley copy. They send me the finished copy, and they just usually don't bother to send me the paperback that comes out later. This was half the price of the hardcover, and it came out 2 years after. Maybe that's why I kept it. I don't know why. But I should pay special attention to it because despite empty shelf space that you see, I am eventually going to use every inch of space in this little book room. And there is not a place here for exact doubles of contemporary books. I mean, I have probably 10 translations of the Aeneid. I probably have 6 or 7 different translations of Horace. I have probably 6 different copies of Pride and Prejudice, tons of Samuel Johnson, famously 11 copies of Moby Dick. But those aren't all the same. Those aren't exactly identical. These 2 are the same book, just with slightly different covers. I'll have to see about that. All right. Then we have the complete stories of Flannery O'Connor in the classic peacock dust jacket hardcover here. I have a different version of this, but this is the volume to have. This is the volume that everybody knows it in. I just absolutely love this volume. I absolutely love it. I have a whole bunch of short story collections in this room. And that's one of my favorites. That and Eudora Welty and John Cheever. Let's see here. What is this next one? Oh, great. Okay, fantastic. This is a Book of the Month Club edition of Jaws by Peter Petrelli. But with the movie mass market cover, which is great. Well, I have had a hardcover of this book, but the original hardcover of this book has an unbelievably ugly cover. It's just boring. Whereas this movie poster has become completely iconic. So if you want a copy of Jaws, you want a copy of Jaws with this cover, as silly as that is. And I love this novel. I really do. I love this novel. It is so much more than the Spielberg movie. I worry in the last however long Jaws hasn't been around for 85 years, but I wonder how long in the decades, the half century since this book came out, I wonder how many people have seen a copy of the book, maybe the mass market paperback, which I do not currently have. The famous mass market paperback with this cover, I do not currently have a copy of that. I wonder how many people have seen that and thought, well, I watched the movie. I love the movie. There's no reason to read the book. When the book is more, believe it or not, more nuanced than the movie. A lot more nuanced. Maybe a read-along. I haven't done a read-along of Jaws in quite some time. Then we have mythology. I mentioned this book earlier. This is Roger Lancelyn Green. This is his Heroes of Greece and Troy, which is his retelling of Greek mythology and then his retelling of the Trojan War. And this is out in 2 children's paperbacks. I think it is still in print in 2 children's paperbacks that are Bowdlerized or modernized. And before that, it was in 2 Puffin paperbacks, the Tales of Greece and Troy and the Tales of Gods and Men, I think, and the Fall of Troy. But I encountered it first in this volume, as one volume, and had never seen it at all. And one of you actually found a copy of this for me and sent it to me a while ago. Do we have a date on when that was? Let's see if this is dated. 2017. So, a long time ago. It was 2017. The one of you found a copy of this and sent it to me. And I remember it was one of the first instances where that aspect of BookTube magic really became known to me. Because I don't have 4 pounds of product in my hair. I don't have pearly white teeth. I'm not saying guys, guys, guys. I'm not making all sorts of calls to action. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just a person making videos online. So there's no chance. I joke all the time about a parasocial relationship, but there's no chance that a parasocial relationship is developed here. Instead, relationships are developing here. And the person who sent this sent it because they knew that I wanted it and wanted me to have it. It was purely friendship. And I had not experienced that before on this channel, except in the votes of confidence that came to me when I was almost shoved off the platform. And I had not known that it was possible. All of those votes of confidence came from other creators, other booktubers. I don't know. I'm not phrasing it right, and I will phrase it right in my memoirs, in my account of being a booktube star. When I write a book about that, I will work on it to phrase it right. But this was the first time, this book was the first time of innumerable times that have happened since, where we are reaching through the screen. Not just in one direction. I am reaching through the screen in order to sow discord between you and your significant other. Since your significant other doesn't understand why you're always listening to this weird old guy, and you do. So a great number of you know what that's like, where the significant other will roll over irritatedly in bed because you're listening to one more video by that old guy. I have heard stories like that a million times since I've had this channel. So not only am I reaching through the screen to sow discord between you and your hottie, but also you are reaching through the screen to me. How many messages of support did I get when I was losing my old dogs? And when I did lose them? How many messages of support did I get? I can't even imagine. I can't remember how many I got. I saved them all, but I didn't count them. How many things have I got in the mail? How many times have you called in credit at the Brattle Bookshop so that I can go there and tell all my creaky old jokes and bother the staff and not pay anything for the books, except the tax of making a video, a Brattle Book Haul video. This was the first demonstration of that, and of course I reread it when I got that and loved it. Rosalind Lancelyn Green is so graceful as a narrator. And then right next to that we have the most popular popularization of Greek myths, and that is Mythology by Edith Hamilton, which I have read a million years ago. I've read and reread this a million times. This hardcover has iconic full-page illustrations, very stylized, Flaxman-like illustrations that I love, and that I think the newest version of this book does not have. And also, years ago, there was a big illustrated edition of Edith Hamilton's Mythology, an oversized thing, that I really liked. I really enjoyed it. But to me, this book is synonymous with these illustrations, which I think are by Alan Steele. Is that right? Oh, goodness, you're not going to tell me. Oh, my God. Oh my God! Oh, Steel Savage is the name of the artist here, and the pictures. Look at Mount Olympus. That is just incredible. The pictures are just amazing, and to me, they're as iconic as the book. So I want this volume. I have a couple of mass market paperbacks of this, but this thing really holds up. So I was glad to find it. And then finally, an oversized book. This thing, the Saturday Evening Post book of Ships and the Sea. So an oversized thing, has lots and lots of illustrations, but it also has lots and lots of stories that are set along nautical themes that came out in the old Saturday Evening Post. I believe several of you have told me that the Saturday Evening Post is still in publication, but once upon a time, it ruled the periodical world. Once upon a time, it was the biggest thing. Every household got Saturday Evening Post for the reporting, for the profiles, for the humor, and for the fiction, for the stories. This isn't long. I wish it were 3 times as long, but there are some stories in here that are so good. Oh my! What was the one that really did it for me? There's an excerpt from a Hornblower novel. I'll never be able to find it. There's a book about a selection from Nordhoff and Hall. There's a selection from Joshua Slocum. No, I'll never find it. Well, that doesn't matter because a lot of the stuff in here is really, really good. So that's our last book on this shelf, an oversized thing, going up there to bookend things. So that is this shelf, and I am tired from standing up. So we will move on to the next shelf. I have to stand for that one too for the next few. So I'll wrap this up, and I'll see you then. Thank you, BookTube.